Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Allegations of racism trigger an opposition walkout in Trinidad. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, June 26. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Trinidad and Tobago's opposition is prepping to move a motion of no confidence against the Speaker of the House, Bridget Anisette George. This follows a heated exchange in Parliament late Friday, which culminated in a walkout by the opposition. In the crossfire, the Prime Minister was accused of being a racist, and so was a member of the opposition. During a media briefing on the weekend, opposition leader Kamla Prasad-Bissessar said the party staged the walkout after racist remarks were made to a member of Parliament. She said the decision to go the route of a no-confidence motion was made at a United National Congress strategic planning meeting. We get more in this CNews report.
This was the atmosphere in the House of Representatives on Friday night. The opposition believes its constitutional right to practice freedom of expression in the Parliament is being threatened. Leader Kamla Prasad-Bissessar says the government has frequently used abusive and insulting language towards the opposition, and the Speaker has taken no action whatsoever to stop this practice. They believe, however, they are being treated differently.
The Speaker's role is to facilitate freedom of expression, again within the standing orders. And it is a duty of a Speaker to let parliamentarians have their say in the Parliament. We have experienced a state of affairs, and it culminated yesterday, where we are of the view that the Speaker has not been facilitating that freedom of expression.
She says that this was not the reason they chose to leave the Parliament on Friday, but says that the situation was not a standalone.
It's just one in a series of matters that we have great concern about in terms of properly representing our constituents in the Parliament, for freedom of expression to take up issues in the Parliament.
Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar again states the party's displeasure with the Prime Minister's response in the aftermath of Tropical Storm Brett, the topic that was being debated when tensions began running high.
He told the country that, well, he couldn't get a flight back to Trinidad. Then last night in the Parliament, I said very clearly the Prime Minister was really working really busily in Tobago because he was playing golf at Mount Irving.
This will be the first motion of no confidence being brought against Ms. Anisette George.
And more than 1,000 families in Trinidad and Tobago have applied for the $25 million in relief offered by government following the tropical storm Brett last week. And the Minister of Social Development and Family Services is given the assurance that applications will be fast-tracked. We get more from CMC News on this story.
For those affected by natural disasters, accessing grants from the state can be frustrating. But in the wake of Tropical Storm Brett, the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services says it is committed to ensuring that applications for relief are dealt with in a speedy and timely manner.
Whereas this process normally takes about 2 months, we have put a system in place to ensure that we can fast-track it and complete it in 3 weeks.
This, she says, will be done through a disaster relief operating center. But those wishing to access grants must do so through first-level responders from regional corporations.
We have commenced assessments in Diego Martin, Princestown, Shogunas, Point Fortin, Pinal Libe, Tunapuna Piaco, San Juan Laventil, San Fernando, Rio Claro, and Sandy Grande.
According to the minister, there have been 1,074 applications for relief grants so far. and that's excluding people from the Arima, Siparia and Couva regions who are currently being assessed.
An increase in shootings in Jamaica is putting significant pressure on hospitals, and health authorities say those facilities are overwhelmed. In fact, one hospital is said to be almost in crisis mode. TVJ's Vashan Brown has that story.
Just last week, officials of the Kingston Public Hospital raised concerns about the impact of the bloodletting on the hospital while they addressed the parliamentary committee. Now, doctors out west say they're facing similar challenges. Senior medical officer at the Savannah Lamar Hospital in Westmoreland, Dr. Alfred Dawes, says the hospital has been treating more gunshot wound victims now than before. In fact, just last week, the hospital said it treated 7 people who were shot, the majority of whom had to get emergency surgery.
It is placing a considerable strain on the hospital's resources in terms of staff and blood, as well as the disposables and operating theatre time. As a matter of fact, we have actually been looking into hiring additional staff just to deal with the increased requests for blood and blood products at night because of the drain that these trauma cases are putting on the blood bank.
Dr. Dawes says with the severe staff shortage and very limited resources, the hospital is overwhelmed.
As is right now, we are almost in a crisis situation, given the scale back activities at Cornwall Regional Hospital, the pressure that we're having with the rise in motor vehicle accidents, particularly motorbikes, and then to compound all of this with the increase in shootings, I don't know how much we're able to manage if we don't get a serious injection of resources.
Dr. Dawes points out that staff members are also terrified. It was only recently that a woman was murdered just across from the hospital. The hospital, he says, is looking to put measures in place to ensure the safety of patients and the staff at the facility. Over at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, the clinical coordinator, Dr. Delroy Frey, says from June 1 to June 22, the hospital treated 20 gunshot wound victims. In other words, the hospital treated roughly 1 gunshot wound victim per day.
One single gunshot wound can take up, the doctor's time anywhere between 1 to 2 hours to sort out. And then that patient have to be moved to the operating theater, where they could spend another 2 to 3 hours trying to save their lives. And then they'll be placed on the ward or in the intensive care unit, where depending on the severity of the injury, they could spend another 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even months, depending on the severity of the injury.
Then there's also the impact on the staff.
The impact of the injuries are such that it's causing burnout of our staff, the surgeons, the anesthetic staff, and nurses. Because when we should be looking after a patient who has general problems, we have to be spending hours looking after these gunshot injuries.
Law enforcement authorities in Antigua and Barbuda have seized more than $1 million EC in illegal drugs and detained 6 people, including 2 CARICOM nationals, in several operations over the weekend. The Office of National Drug and Money Laundering Control Policy, the ONDCP, says 295 pounds of marijuana were seized during operations that stretched over a 24-hour period. In the first operation, a St. Vincent and the Grenadines national and an Antiguan were nabbed in the process of transporting 103.25 pounds of marijuana with a street value of about 413,000 EC dollars. A Jamaican was nabbed in the second operation. He was held with 34.8 pounds of compressed marijuana and a small quantity of marijuana seedlings with a street value estimated at just over 139,000 EC dollars. In the third drug operation, 3 Antiguans were detained after 157.8 pounds of compressed cannabis with an estimated street value of more than 631,000 EC dollars were found in their possession. The ONDCP says all the drugs seized during the operations appear to have originated out of South America, and investigations are into exactly which country they came from are ongoing. Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, the arrest of a prominent Bermuda doctor is ruled unlawful. That story and more after the break.
The Sajiko Cave School of Business and Management invites you to attend Navigating a Path to Growth, a risk and competitive intelligence conference at Hilton Barbados Resort on June 26th and 27th, 2017. Speakers include Global Strategy and Risk expert Dr. Andrea Schotter, Regional PwC Risk Assurance Leader Bruce Scott, Miss Lisa Padmore, Dr. Delisle Worrell, Mr. Ian D'Souza, Professor Patrick Hossain, Professor Gillian Marcel, and many others. For more information, call 246-424-7731 or visit www.uwichsb.org. Secure your space today.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Celebrating 40 years of fun in the June-July sun. Vincimas 2017. Enjoy the exciting blend of mass and panet steel and glitter. There's a Monday street party like no other. And the explosion of colors at Mardi Gras. Don't be left out of the Vincimas 40th birthday celebration. Evo 4.0. Evo 4.0. There's Kaiso and the energy at Soca Monarch. June 30th to July 11th. Vincimas, the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. Check out Vincimas on Facebook or carnivalsvg.com for more details. Vincimas.
Chatting CARICOM, your chance to get answers to questions about the regional integration process and how it affects you.
Why is the process taking so long?
Countries tend to retain a sense of identity, even if they have a common region, common ancestry, or common cultures.
Join CARICOM and CARIVision for Chatting CARICOM, Wednesday, June 28 at 8 p.m.
It's a bit more of community forum where perhaps persons can really learn about this thing called CSME.
Chatting CARICOM, Wednesday, June 28 at 8 p.m.
It's not at the political level, but at the grassroots level. We are the ones that need to make the idea of the CSME become a reality.
Chatting CARICOM, a community for all.
On building one Caribbean.
We continue in Bermuda a year after the chief medical officer at the clinic owned by former Premier Dr. Ewart Brown was arrested. The island's Chief Justice has ruled that the police acted unlawfully. Dr. Mahesh Reddy is now waiting to find out just how much compensation he will get for that unlawful arrest. The Chief Justice also ruled that any items seized from his home during the search be returned to him. Tarai Trott of Bermuda Broadcasting News has that story.
Thursday, May 19, 2016. A team of 6 police officers carry out a 7 a.m. raid on the private home of prominent medical practitioner Dr. Mahesh Reddy, a partner of former. Police arrested him on suspicion of fraud and money laundering. His home was searched and personal medical files related to some patients were confiscated. However, despite the police action, which was without a search warrant, no charges of any kind have ever been brought against Dr. Reddy. Neither did police ever conduct a formal interview relating to reasons for his arrest. The arrest sparked a high-profile tongue-lashing from Dr. Ewart Brown, who said the police action was intimidation and investigators were unfairly targeting his business. Not letting the matter rest there, Dr. Reddy kept his promise by suing the Bermuda Police Service in the Supreme Court for using alleged heavy-handed tactics and for the arrest, which he maintained was unlawful. In his 30-page legal complaint, the doctor contended given the fact he was immediately released on police bail and never charged or interviewed as a result, it appeared police only wanted legal cover to carry out a search of his home. However, police have maintained all along that their actions were in keeping with the law. But in his findings, Chief Justice Ian Kewley ruled Dr. Reddy's arrest was unlawful, as was the search of his home and seizure of his property. Mr. Justice Kewley stating police officers did not cite any evidence that justified the arrest in accordance with the law. He states, quote, "It is quite obvious based on the evidence before the court that the investigating officers did not evaluate the appropriateness of exercising the power of arrest and the way it was exercised as against other less intrusive options. The Chief Justice added the failure was fatal where it concerned the law. Additionally, calling the arrest intrusive, the Chief Justice found investigators lacked any coherent explanation for why that method of arrest was preferred. The decision to arrest was unreasonable and or irrational, he further states. Where it concerned the search and seizure, Dr. Kawali equally critical by pointing out police failed to cite any evidence to explain why it was reasonably required.
Pan American Health Organization Director Carissa Etienne says future epidemics of the Zika virus are likely. She issued the warning in a new perspective piece for the American Journal of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene called Zika Virus Disease in the Americas, a Storm in the Making. More than 700,000 cases of Zika virus disease have been officially reported to PAHO from 48 countries and territories in the Americas. And Etienne says the available defenses against the mosquito responsible for the transmission of the virus are no longer sufficient to resist its aggressive spread. The PAHO director added that the health systems will need to be prepared to ensure new tools are introduced to fight the virus and that their benefits reach everyone and not just a few. 14 journalists from across the Caribbean are on a 5-day study tour of the European Union in Brussels. The team, led by Wayne Lewis, who's press officer at the Barbados-based Department of the EU with responsibility for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, is being given insight into how the international organization works and its relationship to the Caribbean.
When they come here to Brussels and they go to the different EU institutions, they have a better idea when they go back home of what it means, what DG development means, what the European External Action Service means.
Lewis tells CMC News that the first day was fruitful. The team will be receiving daily briefs from representatives of various organs of the EU, including the European External Action Services, the Council of the European Union, and the European parliamentarians. However, most of the sessions are off the record, and as such, disallows the journalists from reporting on them.
You really want to be free to give journalists the full experience of the European Union, of finer details of how things work.
Meanwhile, some of the journalists who spoke with CMC News after the first day have agreed that the sessions were informative and have given them better leverage for writing EU-Caribbean-related stories going forward.
Honestly, I found it more informative than I expected. Some of the information given specifically pertaining to the Caribbean and the efforts the EU is making, it has really...
The information was also useful because we got to learn about exactly what kind of assistance is available to the Caribbean and what the process is for accessing it.
It gives us a better understanding so that when we have to write stories now, we can question what is going on and we can ask the questions that before we were not asking. Now, with this information, we can go to the right people and put the questions to them, and hopefully our story will be a bit more informed now.
The journalists return to the region on Friday. From Brussels, Nicole Best, CMC News.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Windies women suffer their first blow in the ICC World Cup.
Ready. It's another episode. When we out on the road, this is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and the guitar. Hey, hey, hey. Every fact that a boy keep on calling me wrong name, but that's okay, 'cause that's my babe. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. You know what to say, still calling me wrong name.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Welcome back. Cricket top sports, and West Indies women suffered their first blow in the ICC Women's World Cup on Monday. They were crushed by 8 wickets by Giants Australia in Taunton. The Windies were dismissed on 204, with Hayley Matthews falling just short of half-century. She ended on 46, while captain Stephanie Taylor also missed out on a half-century as she scored 45. Chilean nation also had a respectable knock of 35. Right-arm pacer Elise Perry was the pick of the bowling for the Aussies, as she had figures of 3 for 47. Here are the highlights.
Well, that's through the field, and it's run across the squared area. On the charge, Matthews on this occasion picks up the pace off the wicket. With beautifully played, allowed the ball just to come onto the bat.
And she tries to do something about the scoring rate and falls. That was hit hard. And that's one she was waiting for.
Well played.
Gone. That's what we talked about, getting starts, not carrying on.
Gone big, gone long, and it's the first 6 of the West Indian innings.
Catch, they say. Catch she does. And that's well struck. Straight back down the ground. What a good hit that is. And she's got hold of that, and that will go. Oh, what a good comeback from Perry. Up in the air. Will it be caught? It will.
Well, gone to launch off a rank full toss, and will it be a wicket? Yes, it will.
Nice shot in the end. The control of that shot was beautiful. Out by a mile. Chance down to long on. Taylor could be gone, is gone. That is the end of Fletcher. Could be tight here as well. Could be tight. I think she'll be gone. I think that will be the end. Yes, the finger goes up. And the West Indies innings, they are 204 all out.
The Aussies, in their reply, were in cruise control as they got to the target in 38 overs. Opening batsman Nicole Bolt remained unbeaten on 107, while Beth Mooney added 70.
Drilled down the ground again. And another one dispatched.
And a wicket. Beautiful shot, which will bring her 4 runs as easy as you like. And that's beautifully lifted. Well, earlier on. Oh, she's caught. What a good catch that was. And there it is. Look at the delight on her face. So she moves to 100 from 108 balls. Nicely flicked off her legs for yet another 4. And that will be that. Australia win by 8 wickets.
And Windies women next play on Thursday against India. Still in cricket, Shea Hope struck a high-class half-century, but it failed to save West Indies from a 105-run defeat to India in the rain-hit second one-day international of the 5-match series on Sunday. Chasing a difficult 311 in a contest reduced to 43 overs beside at Queen's Park Oval, the Caribbean side was restricted to 205 for 6, with Hope stroking an accomplished 81 off 88 balls. Roston Chase chipped in with an unbeaten 33, while skipper Jason Holder made 29. Left-arm spinner Kuldeep Yadav was key for the Indians with 3 for 50, including the wicket of Hope, while seamer Bhuvneshwar Kumar claimed 2 for 9 in an early burst with the new ball. Let's look at the Windies chase.
Hit the right length, 5 overs, 2 for 9, and then Umesh Yadav. The first 3 overs were outstanding, then went for a few runs. But it was the spinners. Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav, Shea Hope was a ray of hope. This was that stumping appeal. Batted really well against the debutant Kuldeep Yadav. Used the slog sweep and the sweep to good effect. And in the company of Evan Lewis, stitched together a very nice partnership. It looked as if West Indies were going to compete and compete well against this team, against this Indian side. Reached a well-deserved half-century. Picked the spinners really well, and that was, I thought, was the hallmark of his innings. And then this happened. Evan Lewis ran at Kuldeep Yadav completely out of the ground, only to be stumped by Mahendra Singh Dhoni. After hitting a 6, it was that slog sweep, which was not given by umpire Chris Gaffney. India reviewed it and found Shea Hope right in front. Jonathan Carter did try a few shots, but then once again that slog sweep or a mini sweep perished. A few intermittent shots from Jason Holder and Roston Chase, but they were never in the hunt. The intent which we kept talking about was never there. Jason Holder ran at 1 from Kuldeep Yadav to be stranded in the middle of the pitch. Yuvraj Singh having a bowl after a very long time, had a decent one in the middle, and that was it. A win by 105 runs.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Years of fun in the June-July sun. Vincimas 2017. Enjoy the exciting blend of mass and panet steel and glitter. There's a Monday street party like no other. And the explosion of colors at Mardi Gras. You'll be left out of the Vincimas 40th birthday celebration. Evo 4.0. Evo 4.0. There's Kaiso and the energy at Soca Monarch. June 30th to July 11th. Vincimas, the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. Check out Vincimas on Facebook or carnivalsvg.com for more details. Vincimas.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Recapping the major developments of this day, Trinidad and Tobago's opposition prepping to move a motion of no confidence against the Speaker of the House. And in sport, Windies women suffer their first blow in the ICC World Cup, losing to Australia by 8 wickets. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, log on to CanadaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.